Hey everyone, this is Vincent, and today I'm super excited because I'm going to present you a new tool in the Substance 3D family, and this tool is called Substance 3D Viewer. This is, as the name suggests, a way to visualize your 3D models. It supports more than 70 formats, from FBX, OBJ, USD, GLB, and even Gaussian Splat, and way more. So the idea is really to make sure that you can open any of your 3D models. It is super fast, and best of all, it's free. So you can install it really quickly. I'm going to show you how. I'm going also to show different workflows to use it, because you are going to see that it does way more than just visualizing your 3D files. One of the objectives when we develop this tool is actually to see how we can create links between 3D teams and graphic design teams. Sometimes we have noticed that we have many graphic designers who want to implement 3D in their workflow, but sometimes it's a bit daunting. They don't necessarily really want to be a 3D artist, but they want to use 3D in their workflow, and that's what one of the possibilities with Substance 3D Viewer. So first of all, let's see how to install it. Share screen. Okay, so we are now in Substance 3D. We are in Creative Cloud Desktop. Sorry. Here you see that you have all the application, and if you go to Beta, you are going to see that you have Substance 3D Viewer Beta. Once again, you don't need any subscription to install it. You just need an Adobe account. So just go here, install it, and also, I highly recommend to install Photoshop Beta, especially if you are a graphic designer, but not only. You are going to see why a bit later on. So once it's installed, you will have like this SB icon somewhere. You can launch it from a Creative Cloud or from anywhere. So let me close that right now. And this is how the UI look when you launch the viewer. Not for the first time, because you see that I have recent file here, but it's quite common UI if you know either Substance 3D or Creative Cloud ecosystem. So you can open a file, open a folder. You have like few starting tutorials here, and you have a big zone to drag and drop a 3D object. So let me drag and drop one so we can see that. So here this is a USD, for example. Once again, we support more than 70 formats. So look how fast it is. I'm just releasing now, and you see that less than, well, let's say a second, and you have the model which is displayed in front of you. Navigation is a bit different from Substance 3D. We may add also the navigation shortcut for Substance 3D in the future. We'll see. Right now, the navigation super easy. Right click, you rotate around you orbit around the model. Middle click, you pan, and you can zoom with the mouse wheel. You can see that at the bottom here you have options which are you can tweak to change for 3 buttons, 2 buttons, or trackpad depending of your hardware. So you can close that here. And now let's see some of the options. So the first one that we have, we're going to look on the left. So here, this is to go back to the home button. And then you have all these options here. So the first one is like a folder. Why? Because here I just visualize one file, which is this one. But if I want, I can do, instead of opening a file, I can say, let's open a folder, like here. Let me check. I'm going to go in my documents. I have some like mesh somewhere here. And here I can say, for example, GLB file. You see, I'm quite organized. And when I do this, you see that I have the GLB file folder here, and all the content is here for me. So this is a really easy way to visualize my file. So this one is a bit bigger. So, well, you see, it's super fast as well. This comes from Substance 3D Asset. This one as well. So that's a great way to visualize your stuff. So let me put back the headphone that I just downloaded. Is it? So once we have this, you see that before, after you have appearance. So appearance, that's where your mesh will be split by material. So if I take this zone, for example, you see that I'm selecting this material. We can see the hierarchy here. So you can change the base color here. As it's an image, this I think has been textured in Substance Painter, I can remove the image and choose by myself the color that I want to use for this. You can choose metallic, roughness, any option from a physically based material. You also have translucency if you want, and you have also additional properties below, like the index of refraction, if you translucency stuff, etc., etc. Once again, the idea here is to make sure that whether you are a 3D artist or not, you feel comfortable using it. You are not overwhelmed by options. The idea here is really to visualize. Then we have the canvas view that I'm going, the composition view, sorry, well, which is also the canvas view. You see that when I switch from here to here, I can switch from canvas view. This is better, so this may be revamped a bit to make it simpler, even simpler. But the canvas view right now, it does not necessarily make sense for you, but we are going to see that with Photoshop, it will make more sense. Right now, just imagine a canvas with a 3D object on top of it. But once again, we'll get back to that. In the canvas view, you see that I can select a background image if I want, so I can drag and drop an image. If you click here, you select a file and it will be in the background. You can make sure that the object is on the ground. You can place it back to the origin in case. You see here it's origin, here is to the ground. So you have also, you make sure that you see that you have a fit frame to canvas. We'll get back to that as well. And you have a transform, but once again, it's a 3D transform. Let me move that. You see that is the frame which is here. And here, I put the position. I can move the object this way for 20. See that I move the object. So it's possible to move the object. We should improve this as well in the future to put widget. Once again, we'll get slowly with that because we want to make sure to stay natural for whatever the type of user, whether you are advanced or beginner in 3D. Environment is quite an easy one. You have, I just didn't show that here in the material. When I select one, you also have material presets. So I can take one material and apply it on my object. For example, here I can say, you know what? I want this to be gold. Well, it's gold. So choose, and at the same time, I show you that if I do shift right click, you can change the environment lighting rotation. You also have access to this here. You have the rotation, but shift right click works well. You have the brightness. You have some light presets. You can add more if you have more, and we may add more in the future as well. But for now, we have 3. Here you can decide whether you want a ground plane or not. So catch the shadow. So if I change the background color to something lighter, we can see the shadow better. Here I can also on this, for example, to make it match. And now you see that rotating, you have the shadow on the object and it's catched by the ground plane. We may also rename this to that makes more sense for people because sometimes this ground plane, what is it? If you go into 3D, you know it, but that's not that obvious for other people. And the denoiser that makes at the end like a quick denoise, which is extremely fast and efficient. Once again, this may be by default in the future, but nowadays it's like that. Once again, download it, give us feedback of things you like, things you want us to improve or implement. That's how we make this fit with your need. And this one, I'm going to show it a bit later. This is Generate, but I don't want to show it now. What else should I want? So as you see, we have the canvas and 3D view, which allows to pass from a real 3D view to a canvas view, which is in coordination with this is like a link with the graphic design 2D workflow. And once again, the goal is really to make sure that first the graphic designer can work with 3D, but also that 3D teams can share in a more intelligent way the work they have done. Let's continue to this. What I can show you here, you have like some few buttons. Here you have a frame, so to recenter the object, you can press F as well. We'll do the same. You can reset the object. Here you have the view settings, and you have pass from perspective to orthographic. That and also the field of view. So right now it's in degrees. We should implement millimeters as well. But personally, I prefer millimeters. It's clearer. I like to do some photography. I'm beginner, and millimeters, I can easily get the idea where it will come from. So what you would do, for example, if you change, you see that it changes. You just do F again, and it will change it. So generally, if you want something more dramatic, like a wide angle, you will augment the field of view. You will have something dramatic. You also have access to different, let me go here, camera views like canvas view that we have seen, but also front, right, etc., etc. So something free view. I'm getting back to this, and here, so this is the ray tracing view for people who don't know. Let's say it's a high quality rendering method, which also may handle transparency really well. It's really behave like real light in the real world. I'm going to show you a few seconds, but I won't put it for the time of the recording because as it's heavily GPU related and OBS, I'm recording with OBS. Sometimes it can slow down OBS, and when I will put it, you will see that my face will slow down a bit. So let's put it 2 seconds, and you see that now, okay, my face lower, but the reflection are really good. And now that's why now it's done. You see that for this frame it has been fast. So I had a peak of GPU peak, but right now you see that it's clean, it's denoised, and it works well. So that's just to show you. So if you want to make the final image render, you would put in this mode. So let's unselect it for the demo right now. You can then do some snapshots. So you can copy the image to clipboard. So if I do this, we're going to showcase later, just copy it, and then you can paste it wherever you want, like in Photoshop, in a PowerPoint presentation, for example. That's things we don't think about. And the great thing is that it will copy the 3D object with the shadow, but not necessarily the background. So, which is great. You see here it's transparent background. If you want everything, you put this way, and you will have also in this case the light purple color. But transparent background means that you will just have the object, which is quite cool. Once again, we are going to go into the practice after. You can export the image, so it will make a render. So you have like by default export render. The images it put in rendu, in French it renders. You can choose the aspect ratio, the resolution, quality. So in that case, it's always the same. Longer the better, but it's extremely fast. So if I do like a very high, just to see export, let me see. You see that this one already have 5%. It will make something 10%. So for an image like that, it will be in very high quality. I think less than a minute to give you an idea. So let's cancel for now, so I can show you other stuff. But once again, super high quality. So if you want to make this kind of render, you can. And feedback, once again, we are in beta. This is important. This is not mandatory, of course. And if you don't just want to use it and play with it and not giving feedback, that's totally fine. You can. We are in beta, but we don't impose anything. That said, once again, we are seeing people from different industries interested by this tool, whether it's 3D industries or sometimes graphic design, product design, architecture, interior design. And you may have different needs. So we're going to look at who is using this. And if we see that there is, 70% of, product designer, and they make some demands, of course, we are going to make sure to fit them, because they represent as well 70% of the audience. So make sure to raise your voice, say that what you like, what you don't like, etc. So now this is how it works. I think I didn't forget anything in the UI. You see, it's super simple. If you look at the option here, once again, you have open with settings. So when you open with setting, you choose, like, let's say something like that, and you will have this kind. It will ask you place the model at world origin, place on ground, save settings as default, so it makes it always makes it, etc. Then you can recent file, recent folders in case. You can save also the model. So there are different. So you can save. So if you save, for example, save as, you see that it will be an ASD scene. So ASD for, I guess, I don't know for what, but ASD. And the great thing also, if you can export the scene. So which means that you can choose USD, GLB, GLTFF, OBJ, etc. Some people said, "Oh, we cannot imply, which is the .ply, which is the Gaussian spline." Actually, if you put in all files and put .ply, it would work. Although I noticed that the orientation of the splats is not perfect right now, but once again, we are going to work on that. So if you want, you can import a mesh and even convert it via the viewer, which is also great. So now a bit of practice, and first I'm going to go within Photoshop. This is because, as I say, for us, we see so much for years right now. We are seeing many graphic designers, illustrators who wants to find a way, let's say, a natural way to implement 3D in their workflow, without having to learn everything from scratch to be a 3D artist. Sometimes they just need to do this or want to do something like the example I'm going to showcase you. So here, for example, this is a project made by Anna Natter. Let's say I am a graphic designer and I have to make a poster for a headphone launch. I made my job. I'm an expert. It's not the case, but let's say I'm an expert with Photoshop. I know how to use it for years, and now I want to implement the headphone provided by the client in my composition. So before, how would it would have worked this way? Generally, you would have had either the client or a studio, a 3D studio with 3D artists who would make the model, who would then make some renders, which means still images on different angles, so the graphic artist can work in Photoshop, which means that I don't know, they can make like from 10 to 20 or more with different angles, different lightnings, and then the graphic artist has to work within Photoshop and deal with it. And if there is a change for any reason, well, they either have to try to distort, relight within Photoshop, which is sometimes a bit tricky. But now what we want to propose is a new workflow. We want the graphic designer to say, you know what, don't give me renders, give me the models, the textured models. And here, for example, give me the headphone. So we have seen the export, the headphone. I will take another version, which is black. And in Photoshop Beta, once again, it works with the Beta, I'm going to drag and drop directly the 3D model within Photoshop. And it will be recognized as a 3D model and converted into a smart object, which means that in Photoshop, the workflow does not change. You are an expert with Photoshop, you know how to use Photoshop. We don't want to break your habit here. So you see, you just have the headphone in the middle like that. We may in the future improve the way it fits, but by default, it's like this size. It puts in the middle, and you have here a smart object. Going to press enter, you see that it's a smart object. So if in case you don't remember or you don't know, a smart object in Photoshop is a layer referring to something, and in that case referring to the 3D object. And the cool thing here is you have the object, so you can whatever filter, resize, etc. But if you double click on it, it will propose me to open it. It will open it directly within Photoshop, within Substance 3D Viewer, in the composition view that I didn't show a lot before, but now it makes some more sense because you see that you have the background of the image, which is here. There is a bit of a misalignment, something we'll fix later on. But the great thing here is that you have the headphone, but it's in 3D. So once again, right click and move. I can pan and I can zoom. And this is a great difference because one of the difficult part in 2D, or let's say on the contrary, one of the advantages of 3D is the fact that you can the camera angle, the perspective, the lighting,
and you have the full control on it. And here we are offering the full control on this to a graphic designer and linked within Photoshop. So if you move a bit, you see that at some point by default you will go out, and you can say, oh, what's going on? It's because we have a rendering view within the canvas view. So what the first thing that we're going to do is fit frame to canvas. That's what I was telling you before. This may be automatic in the future, but right now you have to do it by hand. So now the rendering view is fitting completely the canvas, which means that I can move anywhere, and if I go out, well, it's not a big deal because it makes sense with the document. Sometimes you don't want to do that. You may say, you know what, I just want to have it here, for example. So in that case, obviously you can make it smaller, but in my case, I want to frame full canvas and to put it, for example, like that. And once again, I can move it, but I can also change the composition. Oh, nice. I may have, okay. I have a small breeze. See that? Wait 2 seconds. Okay, I had a crash. Things happen. Going to here again. If I double click, it will reopen. You see, it will call the viewer and launch it. So let's select it here and it again. And now, once I have done this, what I can do, so I wanted to change the lighting to get this. So if you're a 3D artist, this may be something simple, but I can assure you that if you are a graphic designer, making this kind of change in 2D takes a lot of time and is sometimes impossible. If you have a picture like that, you cannot get something like that, for example. Crazy. So now you can do it this way, and you just have to send it back to Photoshop here. And in Photoshop, well, right now, once again, it's a smart object. So you can play here as you would play in Photoshop. For example, here, what I can do. Oh, yes, I'm going to explain you a little thing. As it's a smart object, you can duplicate it like this. And it will remain the same object because it refers to the same reference. In my case, that's what I want, but it's for some reason, for example, you want 2 versions of the headphone. I'm going to show you after how to do that. So here what I'm going to do is just a mask. So let me take this, and I'm going to make a mask that goes here more or less between the 2 letters, and I'm going to apply this mask here. So it gives the feeling that the headphone is facing, is over the text. So here I'm just going to link that. I'm going to unlink this. So now if I take the headphone, I can move it, and you see, oh, it goes out, but it's in like that. So this way, once again, in Photoshop, I'm working like I'm used to in Photoshop. But if I want to edit the object, I have to go here. Right now it's still open. I can say, you know what, I want to change, for example, the material. I can say, you know what, finally, this won't be plastic because it's for gamer or whatever. Let's go in this view. I'm just selecting this, and in the material preset, I can look at. Obviously, you can also import your own materials. It supports substance files as well. The carbon filters, that here, let's change the repetition to 4. Makes more sense, and maybe change the color to red. This is really up to you. And once again, in that case, I will change a bit the lighting to get something that makes sense. Let's say I'm happy with that, for example. You can send it back to Photoshop. And in Photoshop, as I say, even if there are 2 layers, they are linked to the same source, so both are updated. If you want to create a version where the headphone, you want 2 headphones in your composition, for example, what you can do is, instead of duplicating like I did, you can right-click on it,
And here, let me check. Maybe on the mask. Let me take. Okay, because I had to. Here, I can do new smart object via copy. So if I do new smart object via copy, I'm going to stop like that, for example. This one now has a new unique reference. So it's like as if you duplicate the reference. So if I double click on this one, again, open here. But in that case, you see that I have the other the image, the headphone as a background. But here, what I can do is, for example, I can say, I put it here, I'm changing like that. So maybe I get to like this, for example. And if I go to Photoshop again, in that case, you see that I may have to place it again. Oops, sorry. One. Oh, I am in auto. Oh, it's because is it linked? Yeah. Okay, so I can move it here. So I think it's because there was still the link, so it tries to put it at the same place. But that said, you can work with multiple objects this way. Let me delete it for now, and let's get back to this one. Like that. No, so you have seen the link within Photoshop and Substance 3D Viewer. We really think that it will help 3D team to share just a 3D object with the graphic design team, and that the graphic design team will get some more control on the composition on what they need, and it would be way easier to iterate on it. And by the way, the 3D file will be embedded within the PSD, so so you can share the 3D file and it can be read by someone else. Now, let's continue and see what we have. So I've showed you how to change material, and there is this generate view. So this generate view is Adobe Firefly embedded within Substance 3D Viewer, but to me, this is the coolest way to use Adobe Firefly because it offers way more control and possibilities. So let's look a bit at what we have here. So I have my 3D object, and we'll see that later. Right now, we are going to focus on 3D model to image. So let's look here. So we have a prompt. So you may, if you are familiar with Gen AI, you know that generally you have to type a prompt. But in that case, of course, we are going to read this prompt, but we are going also to take the shape, the 3D shape of your object in account when generating. And you have like 3 options here. You have generate a composite scene, generate a new image, and generate a new look for my model. So let's start with generate a composite scene. By the way, right now it generates square image only. We'll change it in the future, but this way you know. And let's see what we can do. So composite scene means that you are going to type a prompt. For example, I'm going to type a headphone. I'm noticing with Adobe Firefly, it's always great when you have like an object to repeat what the object is. It really helps in understanding, and yeah, generally I have better result doing that. A headphone in the forest at night. Let's see. So what it will do, once again, it will try to preserve as much as it can your creation, your headphone, and it will generate a background for it. You see here that you have some option to render it. So you can choose between art and photo. In my case, I want something photorealistic, and then you have a tons of settings to put some style. But right now, I don't want to put that much style. Maybe I will just change the lighting, and put dramatic light, for example, just to say, choose the composition, close-up, landscape photography, etc., etc. In that case, I will stay simple, and I will click generate. So this is the funny part because you never know what you will get. But we'll see. Once again, here you see that you have auto. Oh, nice. You have auto. I generally prefer to say, okay, I want to be something stylized or photographic, and I let them do. But you see that it keeps your object while changing the background, and it even put a bit of lighting on it, especially visible here. What we have noticed and we want to improve is right now it preserves, but sometimes it still takes some liberty. So this is something we are going to improve, but still, it's really good to put your object in a context and make sure it works with what you want to do. Once again, you can play a lot with that, but with the options. You can match the color or not. You can say if I put match the color to 0, well, the color that we do have here won't be preserved in that case. Adobe Firefly will take the control on the color, and you see you have something completely different, which could be interesting once again to give you some ideas of design of possible color. That's a great option. Now, you also have generate a new image. Well, in that case, this will take the prompt, your 3D models, and the settings, but it will generate everything for you. So in that case, I'm going to put, for example, a headphone artwork inspired by Japanese traditional art. Once again, this is really you who decide what you want. A Japanese traditional art, and here once again we are going to start with photo, and then we are going to play with the settings. So if I'm launching it right now, everything will be generated. It will still keep the shape of your object, of course, to drive the generation, and that makes a total difference to me, because the fact that you have this control makes Adobe Firefly way more relevant in my opinion, because sometimes you generate something and you say, yeah, but the camera angle is not good. So you can try with the prompt, but with some limitation. At some point, you cannot put, I want 37.5 degrees, for example. For here, you just place the object. You see, I can go here. I have 4 nice variations, which are pretty interesting. But I can do it again. I just change the angle and do something completely different, like this, for example. Generate, and it will work. So just to be clear, we are not sending your object to any server. Of course, we are treating that online, but what we are sending is just the depth map and some information, visual information, but your mesh stays on your machine. So I just want that to be clear. And of course, I prefer to say it again because sometimes it's misinterpreted. We are not using your creation that you are doing here to train any of our data model. That it has to be clear as well. So you see, you have different options. So now let's go a bit artistic. So I'm going to put art. And here as well, I didn't show there are 2 parameters, which are visual intensity and strength. So we have been searching ourselves what it does exactly, because it definitely has an impact. And my conclusion right now is strength will be based on this below. So for example, here I will say, okay, we say Japanese traditional art. So I will put watercolor. I will put maybe sketch or line ink and splattering. So strength will define how strong this effect will be used. Meanwhile, visual intensity will define how strong your 3D mesh, the details of your 3D mesh will be used. If you put it low, it will use it, but not necessarily as much as if you put it up, but we're going to test. So for example, here it's not bad by default, and let's make a first one. So once again, I am in art, and you will see that now it will look more than like an illustration. Hopefully like a Japanese or traditional art illustration. Oh, sorry, I had to click the right. Okay, so you see now we have like something way more artistic with the splattering, which gives this effect. I may remove the splattering, and I will put some more detail, for example, a mountain and a tree in the background. And now I'm going to change the strength and the visual intensity. So visual intensity, I say, okay, let's go higher, and strength, I'm going to go a bit lower to see, so it conform, still use it, but with some more liberty. So obviously you can play for hours doing this. There are so much combinations. So you see you had like something completely different. So that's a good way to try to find ideas, to iterate on your model and get some cool stuff, in my opinion. And once again, driven by the shape of your object. By the way, you see that here it's really follows the shape. What you can do as well is you have like a match 3D shape. So in some case, if it's an object provided by a client, you want to match 100% the shape. But sometimes you may say, no, I have my object, but it's just a headphone. I can play, you can improvise a bit. So in that case, you just diminish the match 3D shape. Let me clear all and let's make another still, like for example, Art Deco. Why not? And you can say here, okay, generate again. But you see, I put the match 3D shape at 50%, which means that it will still follow the shape, but it will take some liberty to get better results, or at least different results. So you see now the style is completely different. Oh, this one is cool. And the headphone here, for example, does not work really well. But this one, for example, works well. So this way, you can play, you can define how strong the shape is conformed. Something that we may add also in the future is a way to save your settings here, because there is an infinite amount of combinations, and you may want to reuse it or reuse one of them or share them. So soon in the future, it should come as well. Let's continue with maybe the one which is the coolest for me, which is generate a new look for my model, which in that case, it will just make the model, no background, and you will have a mask around the model. So I'm going to go here, visual intensity, I'm fine. Let's clear that. And first, I'm going to make a photo style. I'm going to deselect, choose bigger, and let's go. Once again, here it will use the style, but in a photorealistic way. Maybe mountain and tree in the background, I may remove that because there won't be any background. So it may be put here. Oh, actually put here and here, why not? But you see that it makes a mask, which is kind of cool. This one is cool. And what you can do in that case, you can send again to Photoshop. And if you send it to Photoshop, well, it will replace your mask, and you have it here. The great thing, well, you can play it. The thing you have to retain is if for some reason you send it back, at the moment it will delete your generation. So if you want to say, oh, I love that, I want to keep that, just make sure to duplicate the layers and rasterize it somewhere. Or to make, on the other one, you make like, as I said, where it is, new smart object via copy to unlink and keep this one. This is very important. We should improve that as well, but that's something you have to think about. What else? So this is how you can use generation. I think it's pretty great to give you some ideas about concept to discuss with the client. I wanted to show you as well, because I showed you how for a graphic designer it can be relevant, but also it can be extremely relevant. So kitchen, I have it here, for concepting. So let's say, for example, you are an interior designer. Here I made, for example, a rough kitchen with Substance 3D modeler. It's extremely rough, so let me grab it. And you see that I made that like in 10 minutes. I used like, these are just blocks like that. These are from Substance 3D asset. So this is something that may make some sense. I just wanted to make a test. And what I can do here is, let's zoom and let's go here. And you can say, for example, I'm going to change the view like that, maybe more open. Once again, to get something like around that. And here what I can do is just concepting. Let's say, for example, I got this, they told me, okay, we have to make a concept of it and talk with the client to see if he or she like the organization of the new kitchen, for example. So once again, it's made extremely quick. And here what I'm going to say is, for example, the minimalist Scandinavian kitchen. Daylight. Natural daylight. And let's see the settings and effect. I would say art, as it's a concept, as if it's a concept art. Maybe I will go back to techniques, and let's see the techniques. Painting. Let's go. Let me check. We're going to see what we can find. Water. No, vector look. Acrylic paint, color shift. Maybe I'm going to go back to watercolor and sketch. I'm going to make sure that the style is quite strong in this one and the visual intensity as well, so we get some details. And we are in art. I'm going to show you photo because sometimes for this kind of concept it works well, from what I've noted. And let's go. Once again, the idea here is not necessarily to make the final concept. No, let's see, it's long. So if it's long, sometime, oh no, it works. Okay, so here, for example, you see that you have like a concept like this, which works great in my opinion. So you can have some cool stuff. What I can do here, I can say, you know what, I'm going to make like as if it's a photo but mixed, give some more realism, and I will diminish a bit the strengths so we see more the photographic effect. So the idea here, once again, is to discuss maybe with the client and to say, okay, this is the volume we have. Here is what we can do, how we can organize that. Maybe I can say white. How we can organize that. Maybe you can also choose different angles so the user can see it in a different way. Whoa. Like that, for example. If you want to do it this way, that's the great thing with 3D is that you can change the angle and get effect. Maybe that in that. This generate, and once again you will get a different angle. So once it's defined, you can refine the 3D model, the composition, and make first renders like this. So it gives you something better. So let me remove that. I'm going to tends to want to get something way more realistic. Well, way more realistic as well. Something like that, for example. It gives you an idea of what we can do with this kind of stuff. So let me remove all the style, clear all, and make it look more realistic. And then I'm going to show you a last feature and last way and the way you can use it. And this is a cool one as well. Okay, so here you have something more realistic. So this is a good way to get some inspiration for your model. You can propose some stuff. You can, of course, improve the prompt as well. You can say windows in the back, etc., etc. So now let's see another one. So let's display here, and I'm going to go to text to 3D, which does exactly what it says, which means that it's made to generate objects based on a prompt. So let's say, for example, let's go back to my Photoshop, and instead of making that, let's say I want to make like an advertisement for a coffee machine. So I'm going to remove that first. Here, right, coffee. Well, imagine that we don't have headphones, etc. That and some stuff, but whatever. So far, here I can say change the color to make that, for example, fish. Okay. And now, yes, I want to make an advertisement for the coffee. We have an offer. It's for a store, like a muffin and a cup of tea for €2, whatever. So you do your job here of a Photoshop job, and you would like to add a muffin and you would like to add a coffee cup, but you don't have the models for some reason. So what you can do is going here, and here I'm going to say like the chocolate muffin, a delicious chocolate muffin, and I will generate. So it will start generating it. What it is generated is a Gaussian splat model, and you are going to see this is not made to be an AND model. So it asks me if I want to save that. I say don't save, and I have my wonderful muffin, which works. You see. So once again, this is a Gaussian splat. So it works okay, but you see that it's not necessarily perfect, but it gives you a base that you can use. And that's what I'm going to do. So now what I'm going to do, I'm not going to use that directly. I'm going to go back to 3D model to image. And here I will see a delicious muffin, a chocolate muffin. With chocolate cream on top of it. And this way I making sure that there is I want something realistic, visual intensity. I just want to make sure that there's the strength like that, and I'm going maybe to put the lighting, backlighting, dramatic light, golden arrows, multi-exposure, a studio light. Let's try that. And you generate. And let's see how delicious this muffin can be. So you have different options. This one is not that bad. This one is a bit too much cream in my opinion. Not good for my diet. This one is cool. So let's say I like this one. This is where you can use the snapshot here and say copy snapshot to clipboard and making sure that transparent background is activated. So when I do that, copy to clipboard, go back here, to past. So how to do that? Did I do it? Oh yes. Let's put that on top. I have my muffin. Let's put that here, my delicious muffin. So once again, you see in a few clicks, I generated a new image with the angle I want. So this is that, and with the studio lighting. Cool. Let's go back here again, and let's do this for the cup of coffee. A key. And I will say text to 3D, and I will say a cup of coffee. Maybe, well, let's say a cup of coffee. And let's go for it. Once again, it will ask me, it will generate it. Gaussian splat, like, let's say, not that simple, but let's say quite simple model. So I don't want to save this one. Or maybe I want, but in my case, I want. I see the generation from before, but no worries. I'm just going here, deselect. I have my cup of coffee. So once again, I'm going to choose the angle, and that's the sorry, that's the all the interest. The fact that you can change the angle. It's like getting crazy when I remove the Gaussian splat. Maybe some stuff we can improve. So here I will say a delicious cup of coffee with a design inspired by Halloween. Let's say it's a season offer, and just going to change a bit, maybe like that, and let's go. So generating that. This is a bit strong. And it's a bit cooler. I think I like this one. So let's take that once again, copy, snapshot, board, Photoshop. I have this, so we put the muffin in front. So once again here, you know better than me. Oops. Select like this, maybe title of, and I can make muffin a bit smaller. And just this way, you generate some concepts, some ideas, and make like this kind of composition, but by creating the object with the exact angle you want. So that's it for this video. I hope you have liked it, that it gave you idea for new workflow. Once again, the 3D viewer is free, so don't hesitate to download it and to give us feedback. And thank you for watching, and see you in the next video. Ciao!